name is Jordan.
I'm Talia.
Yeah, and we're students at Morgan State University. We write for our student newspaper, the Spokesman, and we just wanted to ask you a few questions about the background of All-American Homecoming, all the great things that you guys are doing to portray the HBCU lifestyle. So my first question being, a lot of topics were covered in Homecoming about what it's like to be a student at HBCU, most recently with the recent bomb threats that schools received last year, issues with financial aid, hazing with Greek sororities and fraternities. And what was that like portraying the not so glamorous parts of HBCU lifestyle? What challenges came with that? And yeah, can you like walk us through what that background was like?
Yeah, I think for us, I mean, it's less about like, less glamorous HBCU versus our thinking wasn't that, oh, this is the bad side of HBCUs, and more like this is the reality of being at an HBCU. You know what I mean? That HBCUs as a whole, it's an amazing experience, but these other things kind of come in and color the experience, like bomb threats. It's just like so many HBCUs. Like when we saw that last year, I was just like, we cannot not do an episode about the bomb threat. We are uniquely designed to tell this story, like unlike any other show on television right now. And so it was just a lot of care and research and preparation and talking to people to get those different perspectives about that experience, and even like with the bus stop, again, it was one of those stories that we had to tell because it's happening to our youth. And like we really wanted to put these stories out there so that people see that these things happen. Like, don't let the news cycle, lap you and forget that these things happen to our young people who are just trying to be students and go to school. So it was really more of an intent of like honoring the HBCU community by saying these things happen. But even though these things happen, there's joy and peace and grace and community and family on the other side of it. So there was a reason why we did an episode 5, where the big thrust of that A story was a mental health day. There's a reason why, at the end of 13, Simone and her tennis sisters have a sleepover, and they're there to kind of support each other. And then, in the episode that you'll see tonight, that's airing tonight, that Simone's friends are there for her, after they released the tape, and now we're seeing the aftermath and everyone's opinions about what happened to the tennis team. So I think it would have done the show a disservice to not talk about these issues, and especially with financial aid. And I think especially with that story in general, I think that's universal to any kid going to college, because college is not cheap. And it just happens, this character with Cam in particular, just happens to be at an HBCU. But the notion that the conversation that Amara had with Miss Robinette was that because we are at an HBCU, we should be different. We should care for our students in a way that other universities are not. That's part of the social contract, if you will, of coming to an HBCU. That yes, you're going to get the tough love and real life kind of experiences, but you're also going to kind of get a certain level of care that you don't get somewhere else.
And just to kind of follow up about the episodes about the bomb threats and then the bus stop, what can you walk us through the process that you went through to kind of make sure that those episodes were most accurate? Like, was there any communication with the Delaware State volleyball team? Did you speak to any students at HBCUs about how they felt after the bomb threats? Just things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we actually, for the bomb threat, because we have like a lot of, people on our staff, on the writing staff, in the production office, on our crew that went to HBCUs, have a few of them have, relatives that are still currently at HBCUs. So it was a lot of conversations with them about, what that experience was like, even if, if the bomb threat happened at your school and if it didn't. So me in particular, since I wrote that episode, I pulled a lot from that. I found articles that HBCU students wrote after that experience, and one particular, it was a student at Howard that talked about the administration's kind of response to it, and how she kind of thought like just immediately going back to class, that really wasn't the move. Adding more security, that's not really going to solve the solution. So literally that sentiment and those lines and those POV ended up in the episode. And really, I went to social media too and went back and looked at what students were saying around that time, because that was like real life, on the spot kind of reactions to the event. And with the Delaware, it was just like the research of articles and situations, other situations like that, and then just putting that situation as inspiration and putting it with our tennis team.
So what other characteristics of HBCU, the HBCU lifestyle, can viewers expect to see moving forward with All-American Homecoming?
Oh gosh, without being too spoilery, let me see. That's a very good question. I think, we want to dig more into the arts, especially like with Cam and with Keisha, and kind of really expanding, his music journey. I think when we get into season 3, we'll see that, some progress will be made in terms of like what form and style of music, especially being in Atlanta. I think with Keisha, even though she had the setback with Dr. Pace and she has to go to summer school, her kind of journey with dance, it's not over. So we'll get a little see of that. Nate is the new president, so we're going to get a bit more taste of student government through Nate's character as she kind of assumes the role of being the new president. And then and we'll continue to get more sports and tennis and a different version of Greek life, because now we have Simone and Cam in different organizations. So I think we'll see a little bit more of that. Now that the 2 characters are in that world.
And you also mentioned season 3. So of course, viewers are waiting to hear back. We know that there's been a season renewal for All-American, but has there been any tips or any confirmation for season 3?
No confirmation yet. We're still, fingers crossed, lifting up prayers and saying, hoping that we'll come back for another 3 at season 3. Conversations are being had, but we won't know until we know. So we're just waiting to hear.
Yes.
And then I wanted to kind of expand on what you said about Greek life. Like you said, Cam and Simone are now, new initiates, fraternity and sorority, Black ones. So can we see in the future any more features of Black Greek life, or Cam and Simone going into this newfound sisterhood and brotherhood?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's like you can't tell an HBC story. You can't do a show about HBCUs and not have the storylines about Greek life. You just can't do that. And so we will, we'll definitely see more of that. Definitely see more of like the brotherhood and the sisterhood between the 2 of them. It was really important for us to kind of bring that relationship, full circle, because they came to Brixton not as friends. They were not happy to see each other, and they were forced into like this friend group because they had Keisha in common, and to now have them really genuinely be there to support one another. So you'll definitely see more of that with the 2 of them.
Awesome. And the last question we've been asking everyone, just to wrap things up, if you could attend any HBCU that you wanted, which one would you attend?
And why? Oh my gosh. If I could attend any HBCU, and you know what? It's so funny because my answer shifts and changes, because when I was in school, it was Clark Atlanta. When I was in high school, it was either Clark Atlanta or Howard. But I kind of feel like I can't answer that question because it's like I would want to find an HBCU that you don't always hear about. And really kind of, if you actually did a storyline about the hierarchy sometimes within HBCUs. And so I actually would want to research that question and and challenge myself to find an answer that isn't Howard or Morehouse or Clark Atlanta, because there's a lot of HBCUs out there that we don't hear about. So yeah, that would be how I would answer that question, I think.
I appreciate that answer. I really do, because when that topic was touched on in the show, I would really appreciated it because it's real. Like it's really something that we hear about all the time. You always hear about Howard, Morehouse, Spelman, like the top 5, and like the lesser known HBCUs that are still producing like top quality students.
No, and actually someone on our staff, like Katya Jordan, she is an alumni of Morgan, and she played tennis just like Simone, so we call her our real life Simone. So she's representing you guys in the writer's room every day.
But did you have anything else? Or?
No, I just want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. We really, really appreciate it.
Yes.
Of course.
And we're looking forward to All-American Homecoming. Hopefully we get renewed for season 3, because we really, really do appreciate the show.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you guys for taking the time. It's like, it helps us, knowing that the show is being received well by you guys, because like, if you guys don't see yourself reflected in the show, then what's the point of doing the show?